Elizabeth Cuckson, Cuckson.com. And today your heart is going to be filled with joy as my guest, Dr. Annabelle Charbit, is going to be discussing, are you dating a sociopath? Yes, together we are going to open your heart to say yes to make positive changes in your life. And before we begin, let me just share a little bit more about our special guest today. I'm so excited. Dr. Annabelle Charbit grew up in London, which is kind of interesting because that is where my husband is from. So this is going to be an awesome show. We've talked a little bit about that. And she has been writing since 2006. When her comedy play Sound and Vice was performed by CP Theatre Productions in London. And in 2007, she was published in the London paper and in the British Neuroscience Association Summer Bulletin. And in 2010, she wrote for thefrisky.com, an online magazine who commissioned her after noticing her blog. That is crazy in a crazy world. If you guys have not read it, you have got to go out there and check it out. It's awesome. And Dr. Charbit also holds a PhD in neuroscience from the University College London and has been researching migraine headaches at UCSF in San Francisco. And she's about ready to share a little bit more about her novel that is out, A Life Lived Ridiculously. So I am so excited. Dr. Charbit, welcome to the show.
Hello. Thank you for having me on the show.
I am so excited. You have such a wide variety of things that you can talk about. So I just know this show is going to just be awesome today. So you guys, if you're driving home today, just try to focus on the road because I have a feeling this is going to be super exciting. So let's get started. I wanted to talk a little bit about your book and tie that into a little bit about, A Life Lived Ridiculously. You want to share a little bit about your book with us?
Yes, certainly. So A Life Lived Ridiculously, it's the story of a girl who suffers from obsessive-compulsive disorder, and her parents are quite desperate to see her get her life together, and so they try to set her up with a nice guy. And instead, they inadvertently set her up with a sociopath. So the story chronicles the journey of this girl as she goes from crazy to driven crazy by a guy who's obviously a predator, and how she really finds out the truth, finds justice, and heals herself. So it's written, actually, there's also, I've injected a lot of British humor into the story because I enjoy writing in that fashion, but I've remained true to the diseases of the two characters because that was what was most important. I wanted to give a voice to people who have OCD, and I wanted people to hear what the voice of a sociopath sounds like, because I think there aren't enough people out there who really know what a sociopath is.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about that, what a sociopath is, and what, you're talking about, are you dating a sociopath? Well, let's first find out what a sociopath is, and then we're going to help some of these people who may actually be connected, but they're not quite sure they are right yet.
Yes, that is right. Well, so, okay, how can you, what is a sociopath? Well, so a sociopath is somebody who has the inability to feel normal human emotions that include empathy, love, human attachments, remorse, guilt, any of the moral boundaries that actually prevent morally normal people like you and me from doing absolutely anything we want. They're not tied by those moral boundaries. They can do absolutely anything they want because they don't care about getting caught, getting punished, losing their credit history. Nothing bothers them. They will do what they want. They're predators, and that's how they live their lives. So, that's a sociopath. Sometimes they can be physically violent and dangerous. Often they aren't, and actually 4% of the population is a sociopath. So that's a lot of people exploiting a lot of other people.
Did you say 4 or 40%?
Oh, 4. Just 4. That's plenty.
Just 4. That's enough. Yes, I think that's enough. So I want to touch on this a little bit, just so we can understand a little bit more about these characteristics and empathy. So one of the big things for me is empathy. I feel so much for people, and I do kind of get the opposite side of how some people are very cold, callous, and are just out for number one, for themselves. Now, is that different than the sociopath who just is not connected to their feelings? Is there a difference there of being selfish and why are they not connecting there in that whole emotional realm?
What you described, the cold, callous, that is exactly sociopathic traits. You need to be cold and callous to qualify as a sociopath. So people like yourself and me, we feel empathy. We won't deliberately go and hurt other people. If we see somebody suffering, it will affect us in some way. They don't care. They will. They'll con people, like your typical con people, scam artists. They don't care if you and your children are struggling to make ends meet. If they will scam you, take all your money, leave you in the street. A lot of these people will seduce their prey. So things, they'll do cruel and horrible things to people, and they have this amazing ability to turn everything around so it's never their fault. Things that you...
Oh, my gosh. This is just amazing. I can't even tell you. I know a couple people like this, right? And it's just, right now, it's just really kind of blowing my mind because you're just describing them to a T. And they're all out for whatever they can get at whatever expense it is. And it doesn't matter to them as long as they win. They get whatever it is that they want, and they'll go to the extreme to get what they want. Did something happen to them as children that creates this trait? Or is it just something genetic that happens?
So this is actually the nature versus nurture debate still rages on. But what we do know is that when the brains of sociopaths have been scanned, areas of the brain in the frontal cortex that are involved in empathy and impulse control and aggression, they are actually underdeveloped. They're not functioning as well as in somebody who is not a sociopath. Now, whether this person develops into a full-fledged sociopath who's scamming and conning or committing violent crime probably is influenced by childhood. So a child who's been abused will definitely, if they have the tendency, will most likely become a sociopath or a psychopath. Maybe a child who was raised in a loving family might escape that fate. But having said that, you will always read about the outliers, the child who couldn't help their biology. They were born into a loving family, but they were themselves so disturbed biologically in their brain that they, killed the family pets, tortured their siblings, and went on to do fraud or worse. So it's nature and nurture. It's that fine balance, as I suppose all things are.
Gosh, that is so scary, because I'm sure there are people who are listening right now that are sitting here on the edge of their seats, or they're driving with their knuckles turning white, and they're going, I think I may know somebody like this. And it's got to be quite frightening, and I definitely want to continue this conversation. We're going to have a break here in just a minute, but I'm just still kind of stunned because like I said, some of these people I know, and this fits them to a T, and they're exactly the way that you're describing them. And they had personal, struggles as children. And that's why I specifically asked that question, because, it was my father abused me. It was, my mother was never there for me. Those are some of the things I think these two individuals I know for sure would mention. And now, they struggle so much in society, and I feel for them.
Well, I wouldn't feel too much for them, because they don't feel for you, and if they meet you, they will prey on you, because they're predators. They can't help it. It's not their fault. But they're still dangerous, and they can still hurt us. So we still have to be aware of them.
Oh, my goodness. This is just amazing. Okay, so everybody, we're listening to Dr. Charbit. We are going to take a break, so stay tuned, and we'll be right back.